everyone, and welcome to another installment of TEDXcellence, the show in which we find out the true power of the voices of women. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and joining me today, your boy, Pat.
On the moon!
On the moon!
Yes.
Yes, I've been meaning to get Pat on for quite a while now, trying to get all my YouTube friends into rotation at one time or another. Pat, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm off of work. I'm relaxed right now. And like I said, and it's a nice Corona bunker as we see.
Nice Corona bunker, yes. Here on the moon, nothing but the best for me and my friends. Hello, chat. Hope you're all having a good day. Today is Thursday. Treacherous Thursday. I've probably used that before. Boy, oh boy. Well, Pat, for those that do not know who you are or what you do, who are you and what do you do?
Well, like I said, my name is your boy Pat, and what I do, I make YouTube videos. Well, now I mostly stick to live streams now. I haven't made like a video on your boy Pat in a while, but I do true crime, creepypastas, horrors, rest in peace memorials on my other channel, Psycho Rick, which is doing quite well because just over today we've got over 500,000 views.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good personal achievement right there, So I'm like slowly but surely getting up there.
All right, you guys can check out Pat's channels, his main channel, his live channel, and Psycho Rick, as well as his Instagram and his Twitter. They're all linked in the description for your perusal. But before we get into today's topic, who is joining us on this journey into female sonic power? Mr. Tickle Trunk, hello, and thank you so much for the Dogcat Fox. Happy Dogcat Fox. Raziel, hello. Black Belt for Christ, hello. Asian Hippie, hello. Texas Attorney General Secret Agent, hello. Jake Tungseth, hello. Check Your Logic, hello. Dina B, hello. Mike Savage, Blarg. Debate Fly, hello. Advocatus Diaboli, hello. Brittany Holland, hello. And then chat jump, because of course it does. Lunar Tokasaki, hello, if I said that right. Non-Vitae Rex, hello. Kyler, hello. The Deco, hello. Gunfox61, hello. Mike R, hello. The Other Choice, hello. Blitz Zero, hello. Ostsan, hello. Emperor WR Costin, hello. Roger Reynolds, hello. Kit Fox, hello. And Jago Dragon, hello. Eric Grunstatter, hello. Jonathan Peterson, hello. St. Michael, hello. Peter Lindbergh, hello. Dr. Cardinal, hello. Robert Pincus, hello. Zombie Teddy, hello. This is Kyle. Thank you so much. Hello, chat people and scribbles. And Pat.
Hey,
hello, Kyle. Twisted Skipster, hello. Zalba, hello. Ebony Williams, hello. You're Ridiculous Lunatic, hello. I think that's everybody. Oh, Ethan Robbins just popped in. Hi, Ethan.
Hey.
All right. So what is on the menu for today? Well, today's topic is Rise of the Feminine Voice as the Key to Our Future.
Oh, boy.
Rise of the Feminine Voice as the Key to Our Future. Now, it was not my intention to make this a theme week so far of female empowerment and such. That's just how the cookie crumbles, so to speak. But we will find out together what this all means. Have your bingo card ready. Today's bingo card is bingo card B, as in Boy Pat. You can find a link to that in the description. That is the result of the poll put up on Twitter earlier today. If you'd like to participate in the poll to select the next bingo card, be sure to follow me on Twitter. Boy, I almost sound like I'm a professional radio announcer or something at this point, doesn't it? All right. With all that being said, let's start off with a few seconds for sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it. This is a relatively long TEDx presentation coming in at just at 14:35. So let's get into it. Here we go.
What if the rise of the feminine voice was the key to our future?
What if it can be a lot of things? You guys all hear that? The rise of the feminine voice. I mean, has the feminine voice not been on the rise or not essentially at equal level at this point in history? I mean, I know there are arguments one way or the other, but they've had the vote since the 1900s. They've been, I mean, we have a female vice president now, or soon to be. We had Hillary Clinton just about become president. Does it have much more to rise if you get to the Supreme Court and the presidency?
If it does, she is very late.
Pecoraro the Driving Ape Man, hello. Thank you so much. Behind the scenes. This isn't behind the scenes. Well, maybe a little bit behind the scenes. Okay, everybody says that sounds good. Let's see what the future holds.
That simple question probably triggered a visceral reaction.
Eh.
For some of you, positive. For others, resistant.
Let me guess. Do the positive and resistant people have a specific, I don't know, demographic that they fall into? Maybe.
Maybe even a little panicky or angry.
Okay.
But would you agree that the world is out of balance right now? Maybe even in a period of chaos. Why is that?
A global pandemic, perhaps?
Yeah, besides that, but in her point right there, it's like, it's basically in her mind because I haven't seen it.
I mean, things are definitely not well, but I guess we'll have to find out what she means by imbalance.
I believe the key is voice.
Okay.
Ideas and the way we communicate them are critical to our very survival, especially in this global world.
This global world, redundancy, Department of Redundancy. Okay. Yes, communication in most relationships, whether you're talking about individuals or nations, is key. I agree. Okay. And?
Voice determines how we're perceived, who gets heard, and as a result, both change and lack of change.
Right.
Why did the world come to shift to such a state of imbalance?
Well, you need to tell us what you mean by imbalance. I mean, I could accept a lot of answers at this point. The pandemic, our political strife. I don't know, but until you tell me, I don't know what we're working with. So please, I don't want to. I want to find a TEDx eventually that I happen upon that I have absolutely no reason to criticize, that I just love. I come across and there's no buzzwords, there's no tropes, there's no sort of manipulative stuff. It's just a good and informative TEDx. And yet every time, I don't know if it's just a knack I have, but okay.
It's like finding a needle in a haystack.
It really is. And I have seen them. They do exist. I've come across them once in a while, but yeah, they are a rare element.
The world is energy, and we all have both masculine and feminine energies.
Mm-hmm.
The feminine voice has been discounted and sometimes outright suppressed for generations.
Yeah, all those mothers never had any say in their family dynamics.
Like I said, this lady is late to the party.
It's recent history that women secured the right to vote, to hold property, even to be recognized as persons.
Recent history? I guess on a glacial level, you're right. Movement of the tectonic plates kind of measurement, but it's not very recent. Is there anyone still alive who's a female who at one time in their life did not have the right to vote in this country? I mean, maybe there is. I mean, I'm sure there's like there's probably a few 100-year-old ladies out there who know something about the world before.
A couple of suffragists here and there.
Yeah, I bet there are, but I think they're in the minority. I think, anyway.
In the eyes of the law.
Yeah.
And in terms of our human experience, it's still relatively recent history that powerful women were burned at the stake as witches.
What relatively recent history? The Salem witch trials are relatively recent. She is talking about a glacial plate movement kind of time scale here. I mean, just relatively recently.
And men who tapped into their feminine, embraced their feminine, were persecuted.
Possibly. What do you mean? Who? I'm getting ready to circle leaves out vital context because she's not giving me much to work with here.
We bought into the myth that it's a man's world. And we came to define success almost exclusively based on the masculine model. So it's not a surprise that people hesitate to step into the force of their feminine power.
Well, if you did, show me the feminine model has been as successful. Of course, it depends on what you define by success. Like, what do you mean? I'm just going to do it now. I figure might as well save myself the trouble. Going to the bingo card, circling free space, and circling leaves out vital context because she is talking in such generalities without definition.
And where she's talking about where like it's been a man world all this time, it's mostly because guys have basically been doing a lot of the hard stuff while women, I'll admit some didn't want to do it, but most basically chose to be like the housewife or like the homemaker and things like that. It wasn't until as time went by and things like that where some women wanted to do the things that the men did that it inspired other women like, you know what, I should try that too.
If she wanted to say, in relatively recent time since the 60s and the sexual revolution and women taking on more traditionally from that point backward, masculine roles and things and leadership and business and on and on. Sure. But going all the way back to the witch trials, I mean, thank you, Mr. No. I swear to God, she doesn't know her history, and don't to forget to circle false story and anecdote. Well, she hasn't said anything. She hasn't given an anecdote. She has to give an anecdote, just saying like, there were the witch trials. Yes, the witch trials were true. The right to vote. Yes, that did happen. It may end up being a weightless example, but she hasn't given us a personal anecdote. We need an anecdote that really makes us go goofy. But okay, yes, the roles of women and the views on women in society have evolved over time, and most especially since around the 60s, 50s to now. So what does reaching all the way back to the witch trials have to do with the state of things today? And what did you mean by they're out of balance? Because globally speaking, population-wise, women outnumber men. So is that what I don't know.
That both men and women eschew that feminine in favor of a take no prisoners approach to negotiating.
Are we just talking about business? Because business can be bloodthirsty. I won't deny it. Business does not care about your feelings.
Yeah, survival of the fittest.
Yeah, and so if you're going to say assertiveness, aggressiveness, take no prisoners, etc., are seen as masculine traits, I'm not going to argue with you. But you tell me how in the same, okay, and maybe this is where she's going. Give me two scenarios, right, of negotiation or business or what you're talking about, where the quote unquote male philosophy is inherently flawed and the female philosophy is inherently perfect. I hope that's where she's going, at least for the sake of her presentation. I don't know that she'll convince me, it depends, but I think I know where she's going.
In business and in life.
Uh-huh.
And so we tip the balance.
What does that
mean?
And
I was guilty as an attorney. My clients called me the Barracuda.
I wonder why.
Were you successful while being the Barracuda? I mean, was it unjustified to be the Barracuda? Or are you now feeling guilty about it? I mean, it sounds like she does, she's confessing.
And they meant it as a compliment, but I'm now embarrassed to say I wore that like a badge of honor for many years.
Why not? If you were good, if you did right by your clients and were a good lawyer, why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. I mean, if somebody gave me a mob nickname like that, not because I asked for it, but because they decide, I'd wear it as a badge of honor, especially if it was a compliment.
Yeah, most lawyers are sharks any damn way. So
yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Men could be conscripted, so they controlled that vote. However, votes were not limited to men. It was limited one vote per household. Are you correcting her history, Mr. Tickle Trunk? Are you correcting the facts that she put out there? Oh, my gosh. Zach Osborne, Big Pussy Scribe. Oh, God. I don't want to die being shot on a boat and dumped out overboard, please. Please, no. That guy, oh, man. Good character. Sad end of that. If you guys don't know, I'm talking about Sopranos.
Mm-hmm. I bought into the myth that toughness carries the day. Uh-huh. And that to have my voice heard, I needed to stifle my feminine.
Wait. How is it a myth if you were a successful lawyer being the Barracuda? Did you not win the day because you were the Barracuda? Did you get that nickname for no reason at all? How is it a myth if you were a successful lawyer?
And to be fair, there was some truth to that.
What's your complaint about? Is it a myth or is it truth? Okay, contradicts on argument.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, where did I put that? Okay, contradicts on argument there on the card. Okay, come on, lady. Come on, we're not even 3 minutes into this. Come on.
Because studies show that women are still consistently talked over in social settings, in boardrooms, even in the Supreme Court of the United States.
Really? I'm going to need. Tell me about that one. Tell me that last one there. I mean, that's very specific because you're talking in generalities about everything else. Tell me about that one.
In fact, in an exhaustive review of the U.S. Supreme Court transcripts, they found that the female justices were interrupted in significantly higher percentages than their male counterparts on the bench.
Okay. And what was that significant margin? And what does that tell you? I'm getting ready to circle mind reading assumes motives, unless she gives me some more information. Because if we're going to do the God of the gap statistical disparity kind of thing, where it's like, well, this thing happened, therefore it must be sexism.
So perhaps you'll forgive me if sometimes I hate to admit I actually saw my feminine as a liability.
Yeah. Okay.
And note this wasn't conscious. In fact, I've come to believe it's the insidious nature of these unconscious gender biases.
Oh, unconscious bias. Oh, my God. Well, we have that on the board now, too. I was hoping that was going to happen. Okay, unconscious bias. Circle in that one. All right. Moving on.
Make them so powerful and dangerous.
Dangerous.
And I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I bet if I asked, how many of you believe that you're biased against women? Very few of you would put your hands up. And you would almost certainly be wrong.
Oh, okay.
How so? There's mind reading right there.
Yeah, mind reading assumes motives. If it wasn't clear before, it is now. Oh, boy. We're already building up a tower on the card.
Already get.
Because we all carry deeply conditioned gender biases. And I'm not talking about biases just by men against women. I'm talking about biases by women against women, even women against ourselves.
Women against men? You're going to wait, women against ourselves? Wait, you just said women against women. What? Okay, I'm confused now.
Did you know that in a study of young women writing their SAT exams, where half the control group were asked to identify their gender in advance of writing the test, simply check off whether they were male or female, they performed more poorly.
What? Hold on. Mr. Tickletrunk, thank you. Men and women have been partners throughout the entirety of human history. We wouldn't be here otherwise. Thinking we should be identical is so tiring. There is that. We are two different kinds of human beings, and that leads to some very specific differences because we're two different kinds of people. But anyway, okay, so just being asked to denote their gender on the SATs caused them to perform worse. Why? What? How?
And going back to the part where she's saying, like, you know, like the gender biases, I was saying not only men against women, but women against women and things like that. On that part right there, who is always trying to tell a woman, I'm saying, you know, what to do and how to do it and things like that. They say, you know, a woman can do everything that she wants to in this world, but when she does a certain thing that they don't agree with, then all of a sudden it's bad.
Yeah, like why aren't there more women in name your industry or something? And maybe like, well, maybe they aren't interested by proportion in that industry. Well, no, it's sexism. It couldn't be
preposterous.
That's preposterous. It couldn't be personal choice. It couldn't be just like different outcomes for different decisions or different priorities in life. No, it must be sexism and the men must correct themselves. Okay. But anyway, thank you, John Miller. Feminism, never do that drug once. She hasn't said the word yet.
She hasn't said it yet.
I mean, don't get me wrong. She brought up suffrage and everything else effectively. So if she doesn't say it specifically by the end, in aggregate, it'll certainly be circled. And as well as probably patriarchy. But okay, back to this SAT thing. Just denoting their gender caused them to do more poorly on the exam. Okay.
I want you to think about that for a moment.
I have been. And it still doesn't make any sense.
The power of a bias, where the simple...
That's not a bias.
Thank you.
It is answering a question so they can track the data. Are you male or female? It's not a judgment call by the piece of paper at you. Like, What are you talking about?
The act of bringing our attention to our femaleness makes us underperform.
Well, then what about bringing attention to your maleness makes you overperform? I mean, they're both on the piece of paper. Like having to confess that I'm female. Oh no, the secret's out. What are you talking? Oh, I don't know if that's word salad or self-vilification or wretchedness. I'm
not yet in my book, but it's getting there.
Yeah, we'll give her some more. We'll give her some more time here.
And in another study, they asked the participants to select the best candidate for the job. Simple enough.
Yeah.
But unbeknownst to them, the top 2 resumes were identical, except for name. One man's name, one woman's name. I'm sure you can see what's coming. In overwhelming numbers, both the male and female participants picked the man for the job.
So if the male and the female participants picked the man and things like that, well, what's the problem? They probably thought he was better compared to like the whole entire thing. So what's the deal? It's not like all the men just picked the men and things like that, and all the women just picked the women. It was it was a mix-up. So what's your deal, lady?
Yeah, were the women thinking wrong then? We're all predisposed to choose the male. Okay, well, a lot of conclusions here. All right, and I wish I'm sure these studies have been done, but every time somebody brings up a study where it just conveniently fits their argument, I just got to say, I would like to see how that study was conducted. I would like to see some review of that study, because
it's not word of mouth.
Yeah, I mean, if you've done a study where you polled 50,000 people and used very stringent rules and everything in doing so, that might hold some weight to me. If you did a study where it's like, well, we took 30 people and did this thing in this one school under these conditions, and if you only cite the one, anyway. Okay, but for the sake of argument, everybody is biased towards the male, and everybody inherently hates the female, even females. Okay, this is the problem that she has cited. As we proceed, what is her cure to the problem? I know she's given it in the title, but I don't know what it means yet.
Based on identical resumes.
I mean, if I was handed 2 identical resumes, they looked exactly the same, but the only thing was the difference was the name, I'd look at them and go like, they both worked for the exact same amount of time at the exact same job. I mean, wouldn't I be able to see that they were identical and get suspicious, like this doesn't seem right? But I don't know what that means exactly, the identical. If they were identical, someone would suss out that they were being tested, I think. Thank you, Drew W. Job was probably for heavy lifting. Yeah, that's it too. It's like, what is the job? What exactly is it? I don't know.
Well, that is true, right there. It's like, oh, what is the job? And like, there had to have been something that made them stand out to where they chose the man over the woman. So
yeah, was it just?
She's not going to tell us that.
I already circled context, but okay.
And for too long, we've had too few women playing in our symphonies.
What? Okay. No, I think I know where she's going with this. Is that okay? I take that reaction back slightly, because I know that there was an initiative, I think it's still going on, where symphonies will now, because of perceived biases, they'll just do auditions with a screen, so that all they do is just hear the music and they don't see the person, which is fair. I mean, if you want to talk about getting a position on the basis of merit, your talent and skill in a symphony or orchestra or something, that makes sense. So blind interviewing or blind auditions like that, I inherently don't have a problem with. Now, I don't know offhand how that process has affected the outcomes of the resulting diversity, but I know that that's been implemented in a lot of places.
And allegations of gender bias were scoffed at until they were called on to hold blind auditions.
Right.
And suddenly, lo and behold, more women started getting selected.
To what proportion? Was it a larger proportion? How'd that go on over time? But okay, all right. Again, everybody hates women. What is your solution?
And so with that, as more and more men and women reject their feminine in favor of masculine, believing with some reason that that's the only way to get ahead, you can
According to whom?
Okay, you need to define what you mean by masculine and feminine. What are you talking about? I mean, I can imagine quite a bit. I can imagine that assertiveness, competitiveness, pragmatism, heartlessness in business and kind of things, or just being sort of focused. That kind of, you could categorize those as these are generally considered to be male attributes. Okay, they're not exclusive to men, but they're generally associated with men. Okay, if you say that, I could say, okay, yes, but those are things that humans can do. They're not exclusively male or exclusively female. The ability to negotiate isn't exclusively female. The ability to care isn't exclusively female. The ability to be aggressive isn't exclusively male. What are you? Specificity. I need you to be more specific about what you're talking about. Just being female.
Leave out vital context.
Well, I already circled it. I mean, if you want to circle a second time, by all means. But it's one of those things. If I could circle it more than once, oh man, like I wouldn't have room on some of these things.
to shift that balance.
Okay, how?
So what's the impact of that?
I don't know.
Well, some say we're now in the best of times and the worst of times.
Oh, give me a. Some say, okay.
Technological advances that would have seemed unthinkable not long ago are now commonplace.
Yeah, between the witch trials and now, I'm sure that, penicillin is amazing. Jesus.
The average cell phone holds access to more information than JFK had at his disposal as president of the United States.
Lady, what does this got to do with the female voice, what you supposed to be talking about and things? Okay,
well, Kennedy accessed information, weightless example. I'm circling that one. That has nothing to do with nothing. Come on.
We have such potential at our fingertips, and yet suicide rates are at an all-time high.
For whom?
For whom?
Yeah, who, on average, which demographic ends up taking their lives more often than not? Just answer me that one. Just throw me that bone, would you?
Depression and anxiety are on the rise as well across all ages and cultures.
Now, I don't know when this was filmed. Yeah, for whom, but I don't know when this was filmed. If they showed the date, I missed it. So this may be before the pandemic. If it's during the pandemic, it's a big, well, duh. So I don't know.
We're feeling the effects of climate change and now the chaos of COVID.
Okay, so it is during the pandemic. So yes, depression is on the rise. Suicide is on the rise. Everybody's isolated, stress, loss of jobs, loss of livelihood, loss of family members, depending on the circumstances, on and on and on. You're right. This is all true. This has nothing to do with a gender bias. It's the conditions of the world we're living in right now. Are you blaming it all on the hatred of women? Because it sounds like you're blaming it all on the hatred of women.
We have more tools for communication, and yet we have less connection. We have more resources, and yet we feel more helpless. So what are we to do? How can we take control in a world where so much seems to be out of our control?
We've been asking you that for the past 5 minutes and 40 some seconds.
Yeah, I'm assuming you want us to embrace our female sides and that will cure everything. I assume.
Well, you may not be able to control what happens.
Yeah.
But you know what?
What?
You can control how you choose to react.
No, really? Except when I'm under lockdown by state mandate. Things beyond my control. But okay. How I react. So what are the correct ways to react in this situation? I'm curious to know. Tell me true.
How you choose to show up. How you choose to negotiate this thing called life.
Yeah, the big questions. Texas Attorney General Secret Agent says this was filmed on November 7th, 2020. Okay, so it is relatively recent. All right.
And make no mistake, it is a choice.
Yes.
And it is a negotiation.
Okay, you brought up negotiation a couple of times now. Is that going to be the theme for the latter half of this?
As an attorney negotiating high-stakes deals for 30 years, and now as a negotiating coach, I came to have an epiphany.
Okay.
All of life is a negotiation.
Oh my God! Really? Damn. I had no idea.
Like, wow, mind blown.
Yeah, making decisions, weighing the options, the goods, the bads, the pros, the cons in your own self, etc. Wow. Wowie. Right, Dog, Cat, Fox? Wowie, wow, wow. Yes. Wowie, wow, wow. Okay. Oh boy. I'm almost just on that basis, I'm almost ready to circle benevolent condescension. But all right, take us through this.
Whether you're negotiating with your kids or your intimate partner or at work or multi-million-dollar deals.
Which we all do all the time, obviously. Yeah.
And so
a list. We have a list, and also AREFIT. RFIT.
RFIT.
This might also be a list and a buzz phrase. Let's see if she turns it into that.
RFIT.
Yeah, RFIT.
Yeah, sounds
I
like
dug in.
It's almost like something you'd say like slang between dogs talking to each other. RFIT.
RFIT.
Just RFIT.
Yeah, it makes me say F it. Because that's probably
And
what I'm going to say in the end.
All right, here, let me just so we don't miss it. Lexi says, recap of the squares, please. Okay, so far, guys, on the bingo card, we have circled weightless example for JFK and a smartphone, leaves out vital context, too many examples to count, a list, which we just saw and we'll get back to, free space, mind reading assumes motives, contradicts own point or argument, and microaggression / unconscious bias. That's what we have circled so far. There are several things on the board that may be circled by the end of this just by implication, but we'll give it some more time here. All right, back to our list.
And so I dug in and I researched and I asked myself, what if everything we thought we knew about negotiation was wrong?
Okay. Well, given the fact that humans have been either in small or large part negotiating, if you're talking about different nations or different parties or different entities since the dawn of time, I would be very curious to know if you suddenly found a new way that no one else had thought of before. That would be something.
And did she just say life was a negotiation?
All of life is a negotiation, but we've been thinking about it wrong. So, and so I want to see what her advice is that's going to apply to $1 million deals and trying to get your kids to stop fighting each other.
In fact, it was counterproductive.
Okay.
And sure enough, when I looked into the elements that make and mark the most effective negotiators, it came down to 6 key skill sets.
Okay.
Assertiveness, rapport building, empathy, flexibility, intuition, and trust. Okay,
so everybody you looked at possessed those attributes. That's your big observation. Okay, so how is that thinking about it wrong? Because you're just listing off things that you saw as common factors in good negotiators.
And don't worry, I've created a simple mnemonic to make it easy for you to remember. Just think RFIT.
Okay, buzz phrase.
There it goes.
Circling. Attempt to coin new buzzword buzz phrase. There we go.
AREFIT. You are fit to be a great negotiator. And leaving aside assertiveness for a moment, did you notice that 5 out of 6 of those qualities that mark the most effective negotiators are considered soft skills or feminine traits?
Let's back up a bit. We're at 720. Let's go back.
Yeah, say it again.
Let's go back to that list. Rapport building, empathy, flexibility, intuition, and trust. Those are inherently feminine traits. Okay, I could see how empathy or an increased sense of empathy could be considered, classically speaking, as a female trait. I'll grant you that one. Okay. But rapport building, you ever see guys like try to verbally or otherwise test each other out as they come into a new group?
No.
You know what? You understand what rapport building means? You ever see a car salesman try to sell something? I mean, hell, let's just think that she's talking on a business level. Think about your classic stereotypical used car salesman. Okay, even the most slimy used car salesman. What's the first thing that they do? Well, they try to make a connection with you. They introduce themselves. They ask you how you're doing, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, switch out the male used car salesman with a female used car. Same thing, because that's what you do to start making a connection to make the sale. Okay, empathy, same thing. What can I help you with today? Or what kind of car are you looking for today? What's your lifestyle like? What kind of, how would this enhance your lifestyle? How can I make this sale? Flexibility. Well, I've known some inflexible females, and I don't mean physically. All right, maybe a little, but anyway.
Yeah, I was about to go that way.
Being able to be a little agile in your decision making and everything else. That is a unisex attribute. Some people do this, some people don't. Yeah. Intuition. That if you're going to say, oh, female intuition, like no. Everybody has it to some degree or others. Some better than others, I guess. And then trust. Trust is a female attribute, you say. You ever see men at war? Oh, speaker of mine. You ever see what has to happen in times of conflict? Whether it's something as serious as war or, just being able to work together as a team, whether it's you working with another man or a man working with a woman or vice versa. Really? All right. Anyway, I just find that I was slightly offended. I was offended. That's what I was. All right. We were at 7:20. Let's see. Does that put anything up on the list? Anecdote? No. Okay. Collectivize his own demographic. She's certainly done that. Okay. I should have circled that earlier, but she's certainly done that. Privilege, equity. Well, she's seeking equity because she's talking about balance and striking a balance. So we'll see if she says the word, if she hasn't already. Let's see. Page 51.
Who's outside my door?
All right, moving on.
Feminine traits.
Yeah.
And even with assertiveness, which most people think of as a masculine trait, that's usually based on a misconception where they conflate assertive with aggressive.
That depends. I mean, I'll grant her that. I mean, people confuse confidence and arrogance, aggressiveness and assertiveness. It depends on how you come across. So, okay, but what does that say about anything? So it's not a masculine trait. It's a unisex trait that could be possessed by some and not by others, whether they're male or female. It's not like I've never met a man who isn't assertive. I mean, hell, in a lot of ways, I'm not assertive in a lot of places. It's a self-confidence thing. It's a situational thing.
It depends on the situation, and we all do it.
All right.
They are not the same thing.
You're right.
Assertiveness comes from confidence. And
maybe. It depends.
confidence comes from knowledge. And
maybe. It depends.
knowledge comes from preparation.
Are you talking about, okay, is she talking about specifically in the realm of negotiating? Then maybe I could see what she's talking about. You have to approach the situation with a measure of preparation, et cetera, and so forth. But I can't tell if she's talking specifically or in the amorphous sense of things. Okay.
It's that simple.
Yeah, sure.
My first whisper of what I've come to call the art of feminine negotiation.
Well, if I didn't already have buzz phrase circled, I do it again.
You do now.
The art of feminine negotiation. Okay, so how does this differ from the classic negotiation process that you witnessed that caused you to make your list? Okay, what is so special about this process?
Came when my daughter,
Yes.
our firstborn.
Family or childhood anecdote. All right, circling that one. And then we'll also have to judge going forward whether it's an anecdote that ever happened.
Was diagnosed with a serious heart defect at only 2 months old
Oh,
and had to have open heart surgery.
Oh, God.
And everything that could go wrong seemed to,
Mm-hmm.
as we were negotiating for her life every day.
Pat, you know what we just did just then? You know what we
What?
did? When we heard her say that her 2-month-old daughter had to have heart surgery, we both like cringed inside.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, we were expressing empathy.
Yes.
How dare we betray the brotherhood, Pat?
Oh my God! Did we just embrace our inner femininity?
Oh, but oh God, how dare I?
Oh my God! How do we jump? We got to jump back over to the masculine side. Okay, okay. Push up, sit up, show. How about them Lakers? And
Yeah, where's a witch I can burn? I mean, I got. Where's a vote I can take away from a woman? Okay. Sorry, guys. Well, not really. I'm not sorry. Men don't get sorry. They don't have regrets. Nah.
It seemed. And we spent 3 months in the hospital in critical care. And you would have thought if there was ever a time that I was going to bring that barracuda, that would have been it when we were having to negotiate for her life.
Well, okay. What was the situation where you had to negotiate for her life? Were the doctors like resistant to trying to save the kid? What does that mean?
yeah, I want to hear.
And yet I didn't.
What do you mean you didn't? You didn't? Okay. When did you have to negotiate to save your daughter's life? I mean, your daughter was in the hospital. She was being cared for, open heart surgery, and so on. Please, I'm trying to understand. I really am.
I came from a place of pure feminine intuitive strength.
What? So feminine intuitive strength caused you not to negotiate for your daughter's life. I'm just saying what she's told us. I don't understand it. What? How? What? Tell the story.
I was using the RFIT model before I'd even developed the concept.
The RFIT model is stuff you noticed in all sorts of negotiators. Did you only look at female negotiators? You said all. God, this is frustrating. But you said you didn't negotiate for your daughter's life. You said you didn't.
So what did you do? Yeah.
And every day I was having to build rapport with the nurses, the doctors, the administrators.
So wait, you took the initiative, i.e. you were assertive in approaching everyone? What? But you just said you didn't. Did I mishear her? I mean, I'm
You did. I heard the exact same thing you said. You heard, but I'm trying to say how she's trying to word this now.
I was bringing empathy to the table, commiserating with each of those groups and beyond. I had to stay flexible as the ground seemed to shift beneath our feet every moment, and tapping into my intuition. As medical terminology I'd never heard of before coming to that hospital seemed to channel through me when I needed it to advocate for my daughter.
Okay, I mean, were you at like the worst hospital on the planet or something? Were they not trying to take care of your daughter? Were they resistant to some? I mean, don't get me wrong. I can imagine a million different scenarios where the parents have some idea of what's best for their kid or have a belief, whatever, and the doctors are resistant to do it or to try something experimental, or whatever. I mean, every Lifetime movie on the planet has had something like this at one point or another. Okay, I can imagine that. But what was going on? Why did you have to negotiate for your daughter's life? What was the obstacle you were trying to move past? And what the hell did you mean that you didn't negotiate for your daughter's life, but you were using the female-oriented negotiation practice? Like, I don't know.
Female RFIT. I'm like
RFIT. Yeah, RFIT. Pecoraro driving 8 man. Thanks so much. Maybe she was negotiating for discount surgery. God, I don't know. I don't know. This is okay.
and trust.
Yes.
I had to trust myself and build trust with all those other parties.
Why did they need to trusting your doctor, having a reason not to suspect your doctor's incompetent or something, or making the wrong decisions, even if you're oblivious to it? I get that. Okay, I get it. You want to see the guy. But before you have somebody cut into your loved one or you probably want to check their credentials just to make sure. Okay, I get that.
Yes.
I need some examples. I can't even call this an anecdote that never happened because she hasn't told us what the events were. It's just, she's again just talking in generalizations. Give me an active example. Give me an active example of how your process of quote unquote negotiating with the hospital went, and then tell me how it would have gone otherwise had it been a male doing it. Because if you do not compare and contrast what it is that you're arguing for, I don't know what you're arguing for.
And was I assertive? You bet.
How dare you?
I would be assertive too.
Yeah, if it was for my kid,
my child's life is on the line.
Yeah, but assertive over what? Thank you, Pecoraro, the driving 8-man again. Paging Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick to heart surgery stat. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick. Yeah. This lady was a lawyer? I am scared to know what her closing arguments were like. Boy, oh boy.
Well, my tentative input at the beginning was routinely rejected.
Because you're not a doctor, maybe? What was your... What happened? What did you do? What were the circumstances? God, this is so pissing me off because it's like I'm trying to form a story in my head to try to understand what she's talking about. And I'm going all over the place like it's a bad Netflix show that has no good writing in it. And so,
only to turn out that I was right. I started to trust my intuition, to use my
about
voice,
what?
going head to head with the country's leading cardiologists.
About
setting
what?
my intuition against their medical degrees and decades of experience.
So what? Why bother being at the hospital then?
No.
Just take your 2-month-old home. Hell, you know better than the cardiologists.
Yeah, I'm saying it's like if your intuition is better than their expertise and their medical degrees and things like that, why are you a lawyer? Just be a doctor then.
I am circling
lady.
Anecdote that probably never happened. Okay, and I'm circling that because A, that sounds absolutely ludicrous, and B, in the absence of any details, I have a hard time believing that time and time again during the course of her daughter's care, she one-upped the best cardiologists in the world with her intuition and her lack of knowledge. She was just saying before, confidence, assertiveness that comes with knowledge. And it's like, you didn't have any. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. This whole talk is her fooling herself that she had a part in saving her daughter because she felt helpless in that situation. Tickle Trunk, PhD. It's her, again, unless she gives me more details, she is crafting this scenario to show that her philosophy is somehow correct. But, that wasn't a negotiation. She wasn't negotiating with the doctors. I mean, unless she tells me now that the cardiologists threw their diplomas in the trash and started coming to her on how to best care for her daughter's heart condition. But even then, I wouldn't believe it. What does this have to do with negotiation? This particular story has everything to do with a mother frightened for the care of her child, which is completely legitimate.
And unless the doctors came at her with, like I said, we have option A, B, and C, and basically told her what it is, and which one do you think is best for your daughter and things like that. That's the only thing I can basically see right there. Other than that, it's like, what is she talking about? Yeah,
I mean, like you say, doctor says, well, we can do these things, but we need your consent.
Mm-hmm.
And if she had a note of intuition, or if she had some kind of knowledge of family history or something that contributed to one decision over the other, or I don't know, then fine. Okay, you took part in your child's care. Good for you. I mean, the parents should. But you don't then trump the cardiologist or something. But then I don't know what she's talking about. Self-aggrandizing yourself in the course of a 2-month-old having open heart surgery. What does this have to do with negotiation? What does it have to do with negotiation?
Like the time when Jade spiked a high fever, and they tried to insist on a barrage of invasive tests for everything, including meningitis.
Finally, we get an example.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I'll take back the anecdote that never happened. Let's see. Okay, they wanted to do a bunch of tests. Okay.
And my suggestion that perhaps she's just teething was dismissed out of hand as medically insupportable.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, that is very specific. All right.
Until the next day, when her first tiny tooth burst through those tender gums and her fever disappeared instantly.
Okay.
Okay, so
I can't
What's it?
necessarily disbelieve that.
Mhm.
That is a scenario I could see happening. Her building that one example into somehow she is better than the cardiologists and all
Mhm.
that is beyond the beyond. But if that is the anecdote we were leading to, I can't necessarily say that that did not happen, because I have had friends in the medical business who have looked for the more complicated explanation for something when it turned out to be something completely benign.
Mhm.
And
So she got one thing right over this expertise doctor, and now she acts like this ultimate know-it-all.
yeah, now the effect on her sense of self-worth is not a square on the board, but that specific anecdote that she was leading up to, I don't necessarily disbelieve. So I'm going to take that one back. I know that's a rare thing. I don't think I've taken back a circle ever before, or if I have, it's been a rare time. But for that one, I know of such stories having occurred before. So that doesn't sound beyond the pale. Now, if you in the chat think that because of all her self, inflation over the last couple of minutes, she still deserves something like that for the enormity of her egotism, all right. But I'm taking it back for that. We'll talk about it later.
Instantly. Or the time when she was turned just 4 months, and I asked them to please take out that ventilator, because at that point she had been breathing longer on that artificial machine than she had been breathing on her own. And they said, nope, she's not ready, that can't work. And I had to dig deep to trust my intuition. When those seconds counted down, when they grudgingly did a trial removal of that ventilator, and she wasn't breathing. And she
So the doctors were right, but then all of a sudden, right?
didn't breathe. And then they called time, and the team rushed in to get ready to re-intubate. And I still don't know where it came from, but I said, wait, just 5 seconds. And time seemed to freeze as everyone in that room looked at each other, until one nurse just started counting 5. And I was like, come on, Jade, please, maybe you can do it. 4.
Okay.
This is so made for TV. Now she might have got me on the first one.
Mhm.
I'm getting ready to take it back.
But this one right here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Breath.
That's it.
3. You are stronger than you think you are, sweetie.
Oh,
Please,
God.
Jade. 2. Take my strength. Take my breath if you need to. 1. And then
You watch too much Lifetime, lady.
I was about to say, it's like this is like a bad soap opera scene. Okay. I can believe the scenario took place.
Mhm.
I don't believe that all of that drama occurred in the hospital room. It just no. Okay, I'm putting it back. All right, so that cancels that out.
and she took that first breath on her own
Uh-huh.
in 2 months.
Okay.
But then just before we hit 5 months, those cardiologists called my husband and I into the office, and they said, we're at the end of the road. She's not responding. She's barely back at her birth weight. We're going to have to take our chances and go in and operate again. And I said, no, she's not strong enough. She will never survive that. And I still remember that one cardiologist looking me in the eye and saying, fine, but we don't think she'll make it, and it'll be on your head.
That's how the doctor spoke to you. Okay.
And I had to trust myself and
Where were you negotiating there? Saying no isn't a negotiation. You didn't meet him halfway or anything. I mean,
yeah, it's like she basically wanted things her way. Like,
well, and besides, and here's the thing: in that situation, if the parent says no, they can't act without a court order. So there wasn't any room for negotiation. If you say yes, you say yes. If you say no, they can't act. This was not a negotiation. This was you just trusting your instincts. Now, if you want to call that a self-negotiation or an internal struggle or something, I might be able to buy that, but you're not saying it that way. You're saying you're interacting with these medical professionals practicing female negotiation. Now, thank goodness, at least if the story's true, your rolling of the dice thus far didn't end up causing more harm to your daughter, as far as we know. I mean, and good for her. But your example here has nothing to do with a female-centric version of negotiation. What do you think a man? You think a man would have just like said, "Oh, fuck it, cut her open"? Really? And by the way, speaking of which, where was your husband in all this? Or at least the father?
Just basically sitting beside her, going, "Yes, dear."
Well, okay. Granted that the father of the child was even involved. I don't know. Maybe she's a single parent. I don't know. I can't remember if she said anything about her husband, but okay.
Persuade my husband to trust me.
Oh, well, yeah, all right. Swaying your husband to trust you. Okay.
They had the chief cardiologist come down and say,
was that a man by any chance?
So what is it you think we're not doing that we should be doing, Mom?
He talked to you like that? Right.
And I told them. And it worked.
You rolled the dice with your child's life and you were right. You do not have some magic power. You weren't doing anything that was exclusively female there. You were being stubborn and self-righteous. And you want to hear about another kind of bias, speaker? There's something called confirmation bias. That because the outcome ended up being a positive one, and it just happened to be the one that you advocated for, therefore you are right in all things.
That's how she's acting.
Jago Dragon, thank you so much. Notice how all of our examples of female negotiation all revolve around do what I say, I'm smartest. Well, in this instance, not only that, but legally and ultimately the parents have the decision-making power in that situation. She's choosing the worst possible scenario to try to demonstrate to us the art of negotiation. If one side has all of the decision-making power and the final say on things, there's no negotiation. Thank you. This is Kyle. She was originally making it sound like she had to fight tooth and nail to convince the doctors to save her daughter. I don't believe a word anymore. You know what? I can believe that she has taken her betting high and winning twice as a confirmation of her own perfectness. I can believe that. Given what I've seen on the stage so far, I can believe it. Her dramatics, I don't believe. And I don't believe that the medical professionals, all of them, interacted with her in such a way as to be so snooty, snide, or condescending.
Yeah, I think she's stretching that just to,
Yeah. So I'm still going to keep anecdote that probably never happened circled, because if not for the one, then definitely for all of it.
And using that RFIT method, we were able to get out of critical care and on our way home with...
You didn't use anything about that method. Nothing.
You were being stubborn and self-righteous, and luckily it worked in your favor. So now you just think that, it's going to work in all your favors and things like that. And you're trying to teach this to other people, then it might not work that way.
If I hadn't already circled weightless example, her entire foundation of this is based on a situation that involved no negotiation. Now, I don't know what her other interactions with the doctors were, but these are her primary examples so far. Emergency situations where the doctors come to her saying, these are our options, and she's saying no. That's not a negotiation. That has nothing to do with meeting somebody in the middle at all.
In 1 week of that.
Yeah.
And even then, they said that Jade would still need a minimum of 3 more surgeries as she continued to hit her growth marks in life. And I am happy to report that Jade is now 24 years old
Good.
and has never needed any of the many surgeries that they said she would need, and not even the heart medication they said that she would be on for life.
Your daughter is very fortunate. I am glad that she is healthy and well.
Mm-hmm.
These occurrences do not prove your theory, because your theory, as you presented it, is based on nothing to do with negotiation. Boy, oh boy, she is buying her own press. Thank you, John Miller. So if she was wrong, should she be sued for negligence or malpractice, since you think she's an armchair doctor? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, okay.
So for those of you who tap into your feminine, you already use these skills in a myriad of ways every day.
Arrogance and stubbornness is not a feminine thing. It's not, it's well, I mean, it can be. Why is that specifically feminine? Why is arguing with the doctors and saying mother knows best? That's her entire thing so far. Mother knows best.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the feminine. Mother knows best. I guess fine.
Stubborn, self-righteous, and arrogant.
You've probably just never thought of it as negotiating.
It's not. It's not. You found a new method of negotiating. I say no. Good God.
Oh, God, Lord.
Staring fate and chance in the eye and going, nah, 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 nah. It's not negotiation.
It's just you being stubborn. Let me pop this thing open.
Imagine if any of those decisions that she's talked about went sideways at that stage in that kid's life. And oh my God. Anyway.
And for those who tap into your masculine, you're able to choose with intention to bring these qualities to your negotiations.
Okay, that's word salad. That makes absolutely, that was just nonsense. Just gobbledygook.
But all this time, she's been talking about tapping into your masculine is bad, but you need to tap into your feminine in order to do this right here. But if you want to tap into that masculine, that's okay too. Yeah, at the end, after you done already.
So I have a secondary playlist on my channel called Questionable Parenting. This is going in that one too.
You've all likely been conditioned to see these feminine traits as a weakness. So I invite you to flip that perception, turn that story on its head.
And put your 2-month-old child at risk in a medical emergency. Good Christ.
It's easier than you would think to use these skills to elevate your influence and your persuasive abilities.
How do I elevate my skill in psychic intuition of medical matters of which I have no training or knowledge? I mean, that is effectively your primary examples at this point. That your intuition about the medical outcomes for your tiny daughter is the grand skill. How do I develop this precognition? I would love to know. I mean, does it involve MK Ultra? Do I have to have some magic mushrooms, go on Alex Jones or something? What do I have to do to increase my psychic powers?
And in fact, studies show that people who invoke these so-called feminine traits into their daily negotiations get better results, more creative solutions, longer lasting deals, better buy-in, better relationships, and overall more positive impact, both personally and professionally.
You didn't negotiate anything.
But you can't tell her that, she's in her own little world,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I guess somebody who effectively sees themselves as having saved their daughter's life from bad choices and things, I can see how that could go to your head. I could see how that could go to your head, that you could start believing you have some kind of savior complex kind of thing. I could see it.
It's when it's went to it, over it, above it, you name it, it's done did it.
Yeah. And she has bought into her own perfection on this, to the point where she doesn't even see that she's talking nonsense.
The world is out of balance today.
How?
The feminine voice is being diminished, and that imbalance is creating chaos.
What?
So I invite you to close your eyes for just a moment.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Am I going to see something nice when you start talking? Okay, I'm closing my eyes.
Okay. What are we seeing now?
Paint a picture for me.
And imagine a world where we all negotiated from a place of powerful feminine persuasion, where we look to build stronger relationships, not coming from a place of competition, not looking to just have our needs met, but looking to understand and meet the needs of others.
Lady, in this world, what you're talking about will get you kind of taken over.
Utopian ideals almost never come about. In specific instances, depending on the circumstances, I mean, the thing about negotiation is a successful negotiation means both parties come to the table and both leave only half happy. I mean, because everybody's got to give and take a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, a negotiation might be more successful if someone outsmarts the other one. That'd be more successful. But if you're talking about there being a balance, it means everybody goes away a little bit unhappy, but somewhat satisfied. That's a successful negotiation.
Yes.
If both sides know what they're doing. So you're not going to have a perfection. You're never going to have it. That the balance of the world is everybody being a little unhappy. Because if everybody was happy, if everybody got what they wanted all the time, I don't even know what that world would look like. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about it from a female or what. I'd be curious to know when she listed off the attributes of what makes a good negotiator. These elements that she says is somehow a revelation of how to negotiate differently than anybody's ever done before, when all she's doing is citing off things she observed in other people. I'd be curious to know, were any of those successful negotiators male? Any of them? And how could they possibly be successful if they reflexively diminished the feminine within themselves and always upscaled the masculine? Because that's what men do. How are they successful negotiators? How did they possess any of those? But I don't know. She didn't say whether they were male or female. So, thank you. This is Kyle. Everything I hear anymore is about or directly from the feminine voice. What is this lady smoking? I mean, negotiation requires empathy, whether you're a male or a female. You have to understand something about the other person. That doesn't necessarily make you a nice person. You can be empathetic and be a complete jerk. I mean, how do you think con men are successful? Con men, I mean, the best con men are the most empathetic people on the planet. They're the most charming. They're sociopaths. Sociopaths have a weird kind of empathy about understanding people and are able to manipulate them.
Yeah, empathy, what is she calling for like what, more female negotiators?
I don't know. Because everything she tried to draw this. Okay, we're almost done, so let's just get through. We only got a minute left.
Valuing and respecting our differences and stepping into the best of our humanity. And the gift of that approach.
Oh, wait, valuing our differences, but saying that the masculine is negative? Okay, well, that's an interesting take.
Is that not only will it amplify your ability to get what you want, but it will pave the road for better solutions for everyone than could be anticipated under the current competitive model.
The current competitive model? You haven't even specified models. And that even comes back to the whole hospital thing. There was no competition there. You held all the power. The doctors are effectively your servants in that instance because you're the parent and the patient is your child. They could not compete with you except to say, this is what we think should happen. That's it. A competition of competency. And again, you lucked out. You really lucked out. But
big time.
God.
Thank God for Jade's, sake.
Yeah. I mean, that kid, obviously, that's one tough cookie. But anyway.
Imagine a world where we all negotiate from that place.
That place of no competition. If you do not have a competitive element in you when you go into a negotiation, then you lose every time. What is haggling? What is bartering? What is coming to someone and trying to get a deal? How does that not inherently require a competitive element? You are competing for that person's agreement. You are competing for that person's assent to the agreement. What? Gosh, she drives me nuts.
The ripple effect of that transformation cannot be overstated.
You haven't stated it. Damn it.
And so I invite you, I call on you to be the change, to shift the world out of fear and uncertainty into a place of powerful resilience and possibility.
Where at, lady?
I'll just negotiate the pandemic away, guys. Oh my God.
Because we all deserve that.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Oh my.
Oy.
Good golly, Miss Molly. All right. I got the bingo card up. Is that coming through clear? I gotta shrink it down a little bit. 1 second, guys. Okay, your first thoughts, Pat, before we get into the bingo card.
Oh my God. I'm saying, the whole thing was like what the hero roar. Like the only thing I heard her roar about is basically, what was she roaring about? She's sitting up here talking about, negotiation, and basically gives us one example where, like, like where she like basically challenging these doctors. The doctors are suggesting this right here, and she's basically like, like no, being stubborn and things like that. And luckily, for the child's sake, it all happened, in her favor. So it's like she basically takes that right there, like, oh, I was being this and I was being that, so I'm going to just take that to heart, like I'm better than everybody, and just try to create this whole entire thing and teach everybody to be like this. And what are you trying to teach them, lady?
All right, let's you and I do a review of the card, see if there's anything we want to circle, and then anything we have left uncircled, we'll go and see if Chad has any good arguments elsewise. Okay, self-vilification or wretchedness. Well, she did kind of in saying that she was the barracuda and she felt bad about it now. What do you think?
No, so,
Cops are coming for you.
Yes. Like, what's going on here?
I can empathize. I live right next to a fire station and a highway patrol office, so I get that all the time. Yeah, so her downplaying her past attitude as a barracuda lawyer, does that count for self-vilification and or wretchedness?
Basically, it depends on how I'm saying how she was. Was she barely, got into explanation about, like?
The only reason I'm hesitant is because so much of the talk was her playing up her own perfection.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually believe that she was really downplaying herself in that. Or at least not, she wasn't making that aspect of herself part of her argument so much. She kept contradicting herself by saying, "Oh, the masculine was bad of me, and I'm embarrassed now about it." But also, I was assertive, that kind of thing. So, and that might be and Chad, if you have arguments for squares, please hold on to them. We'll go through the card first. I don't want to miss anybody if anybody's got a good argument. Systemic institutional. Yeah, she talked about like how women across the board are downplayed and reduced and ignored and that kind of thing.
You're talked over.
Talked over, yeah. Talked over. She talked about business. She talked about the Supreme Court.
Yeah, the Supreme Court.
Yeah, okay. So circling systemic institutional. Let me refresh the card there for reference. Okay. White supremacy. She never talked about race.
Nope, she not.
No, you did not, so I can't circle that one. That would have been a bingo. Privilege. I mean, not... The only way I could stretch to that is if you said something like, men are not talked over as much as women, therefore that's a male privilege. But I'd be really stretching because she never said the word, and we never really... I don't know. What do you think?
No, never really got like the whole privilege and the whole entire thing.
Okay, we'll leave that one for debate. Equity, I'm circling equity. She's talking about a fair world, a utopia, everybody gets what they want, etc.
Yes.
Put the world in balance. So yeah, I'm circling equity. Let me Make sure if I refresh the wrong tab, I kick myself out of my own streams. I gotta be careful. Okay, plays victim, definitely. Definitely. She's talked over and nobody would listen to her. On and on and on. Yeah. Okay. Wage gap. She never got into
that right there. Like, if she would have mentioned something like that right there, that would have been an easy one to go by.
Yeah, she talked about interactions in business and methods of negotiating in business, but she never complained about the success of women. I mean, she talked a little bit at the beginning about what was that. She never got specific. She said things are out of balance. Women aren't doing as well. And I saw a study in this thing. So, she did bring up the resume thing. But see, now here's the thing, guys. As I've always said, if it's the square that will get us a bingo, that is the highest hill to climb. And she never really got into it that specifically. So if you've got an argument for wage gap, hold on to it. We'll get there shortly. Patriarchy.
Well, she did say, we were brought up to believe this is a man's world.
That is true. Okay. I'm circling patriarchy because even if not in specific in spirit, she did bring it up. Feminism.
That's a pretty iffy one.
She brought up almost reluctantly the advancement of women over history from the Salem witch trials to suffrage and so on. So
and telling everybody they need to tap into their inner femininity with this RFIT thing, which she basically said, is mostly, the traits are mostly female. So
yeah, you could make the argument that she was promoting an aspect of modern day third wave feminism. So I will circle that one. I'm willing to negotiate on that. Diversity and inclusion. Nope. You could say, the symphony thing and the blind auditions and getting more women on there. Sure, but the whole talk was about an imbalance between men and women fundamentally. And I think between all the other circles we've done so far, I think we kind of covered that. So again, now, if you have an argument, if she said the word diversity or inclusion at some point and I just completely missed it, okay, just let me know if you can quote it or find it or something. Marginalization.
Let's see.
Not specifically. She said throughout the entire thing, she was essentially saying women are a marginalized demographic. Period. She didn't say the word, though. Was it enough to qualify an aggregate? I think so. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, not in my opinion, but it's like
No? Okay. Well, either it's unanimous or it doesn't fly as far as this comes. So chat if you've got an argument for marginalized or marginalization. Make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason. She had a reason. Here's the thing. This is the problem. It's like, I don't agree with her, but she didn't bring up she didn't say something like, and white people and never talk about it again or something.
Yeah.
The gender and bringing it up in the talk was key to her argument, such as it was. So there was a reason behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't make it about sex and gender and all that right there, but it's like, but for no reason, like that's the only thing that basically saved her right there. She had a reason.
Oh yeah. No, you can have a whole
I didn't agree with it, but it's like,
Yeah, no, like I say, you can have an entire talk about race or sex or something, and it'll all be relevant to your presentation. It's when you bring up something that is either an example that has nothing to do with it, or an element of somebody's makeup, and you just sort of offhandedly mention it, you never come back to it, or it doesn't contribute at all to your talk. That's when it is. So, and we've been here before, where it was like, well, it wasn't for no reason. So, and again, guys, if you've got an example otherwise, hold on to it. And lastly, benevolent condescension. I feel like we were being condescended to most of it, and that the part that got me the most. Here's my argument for it. Her listing off the elements that first off, life is a negotiation. That was the first, like, come on. And then she listed off the elements of negotiators that she had witnessed, and then the whole phrase thing, but also saying that this is some kind of revelation that she's delivering unto us that we never thought of before. That felt like the epitome of benevolent condescension.
Yeah, and I'm like missing the Unite for the Children right here. It said like you mentioned benevolent condescension at one point, but they forgot what she said.
I think it was that the whole life is a negotiation thing, because that's such a truism, and she presented it like it was some kind of grand revelation. She talked about having an epiphany, and everything she talked about is kind of boilerplate self-help, gain confidence kind of thing. So, yay or nay?
I'm saying she was condescending at one point, but it's like, damn, I even hate to get these women the benefit of a doubt, but it's like, I'm gonna have to say nay on my part right there. But it's like,
okay, all right, we'll leave it. All right, so let me update the, make sure we got this the most. Okay, so guys, that's where the card is at. We have blank still: self-vilification or wretchedness, white supremacy, privilege, wage gap, diversity and inclusion, marginalization, make something about race, sex, etc. for no reason, and benevolent condescension. If you guys have arguments to the contrary, put them into the chat now. Be sure to put my tag in there so I see it's for me. Let's see, Mr. Tickle Trunk, suppressing women's voices is marginalization. Yeah. What do you say?
Suppressing women's voices. I'm saying, one thing, like trying to tell them what they need to do.
Yeah.
Is another thing, because like in this whole entire thing, it's like that's what she's basically trying to do. Is she's trying to get more women to do this and that and to be like her.
Right. So just to convince them that they're being suppressed. All right, so I will circle that one. All right, next. Mr. Tickle Trunk again, benevolent condescension. I knew better than doctors. Usually it's benevolent condescension, like something to the effect of the soft bigotry of low expectations kind of thing. Like somebody says, like in the last talk, the lady said, women need the help of others because they can't make it on their own. That's effectively what her message was. That is a kind of benevolent condescension. It's like, I know you can't make it on your own. I'm trying to help you. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Was she, now, and sometimes I've stretched that to be benevolent condescension to, whoever her audience is. Now, did she meet that threshold here?
Not in my opinion. That's like,
yeah, I mean, she did criticize both men and women for acting in a way that she found distasteful, like selecting the men and everything. So, and maybe if there's an argument, maybe not that one, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Lexi Maz, the whole talk was about marginalizing the whammons and privilege. Well, yeah, the marginalized, I'll give you. The privilege thing, I need something where she brought up the word or something specific, like men get this and women get that. And I know the talking over thing, like I said, you could stretch, but I'm a little hesitant on that one. That one Stern of Satania, I'm all for benevolent condescension. Also, she called certain traits in negotiation feminine with no real reason for them to be considered feminine, effectively making it about gender. Make something about race, sex, gender.
Okay. I would say that slipped the mind right there, but
that, you know what? That
I was wondering, I was like, it was. I'm saying, I'm pretty sure it was like that spot right there. Like it was something up in there that's slipping the mind, and I'm kind of wondering. So, you think
that is a good point. That is a good point. Yeah, she associated these things with gender when they're not inherently gendered. You know what? You know what, Satania? You know what you just did? Do you have any idea what you just did?
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
All right.
Yeah.
Got our first bingo out of that one. Oh, but you know what else we did? Did you see the diagonal? Do you see what she did?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
Oh
Double.
my God. A double bingo with one shot.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cats. All right. All right. That's pretty good. I'll take a couple more arguments for any other squares, and then we'll wrap this up, guys. Oh, good job, Satania. Good job. That was that. Yep. Nope. That was good. Let's see. Alyssa doesn't lie. She said a female nurse listened to her and counted down too. Okay. Yeah. For the make something about. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, the sisterhood was in strength there. All right, there you go. Double bingo. Good job, Satania. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Any other arguments for squares, guys? We've got self-vilification, wretchedness, white supremacy, privilege, wage gap, diversity and inclusion, benevolent condescension. Now, benevolent condescension, again, you're going to have a really good argument because that's the last one. Self-vilification, again, really good because that'll get a double bingo, or another bingo, I should say. Or sorry, a double bingo. It's 4 bingos at that point. John Miller, Scribelight, maybe the resume spiel could be connected to privilege that men will get selected over women with similar qualifications.
Yeah, we already talked about the whole blind thing right there. They tried to get that as diversity and inclusion, but it's like I don't.
Okay, does that qualify as society provides men the privilege? I mean, that was her argument, obviously, that society is weighted more towards men, and that given the same qualifications, a man will more likely than not get the job anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Is that society providing men with an unfair privilege? I mean, technically, yes. You know what? It doesn't make a bingo. So I'm a little bit more lenient on that one, just a bit. Because I mean,
it's like it's close, but not just there.
Yeah, it's technically speaking, yes, but that just makes every other square that much tougher to cover. So now, guys, yeah, unless you have a doozy of an argument or example, we're almost done with it. But I mean, a double bingo. We just had a double bingo. Actually, we had quadruple bingo yesterday. So going from a quadruple to a double after kind of a dry spell isn't that bad. Let's see. Any other arguments, guys? Let's see. Lexi Mad. She was proud of being known as the Barracuda, then expressed shame for embracing it. She vilified herself for being good at her job and embracing male traits.
You think so?
Okay. I kind of put myself out on the privilege one. Pat, I'm going to leave this one up to you.
Yeah, I say now, in a way, she, like I said, she said she took it as a compliment, but it's like, but over time, she kind of saw it as like a male. Oh my God. Okay, self-vilification.
You see how tough this is sometimes?
Oh, yes.
When it gets down to the wire, I really struggle sometimes. It's like, I don't want to hand these out for free. I don't want to just like bingos for the sake of bingos. But yeah, so you tell me.
Me myself, it's like, in my opinion, it's like I don't see it as self-vilification. It's more like her questioning herself. It's like, it's like question, like was this a situation or not? So it's like I don't think that she really like vilified herself or like oh, this was horrible of me and things like that. Just basically trying to find like a better way of like I don't know. It's like.
Well, the classic example that I always come up with and see so often is somebody will come up on the stage and say, like, I benefit from white privilege. And as a white person, I have to do this, that, and the other because I contribute to the system of white supremacy. They're making themselves, they're confessing their sin and they're part of the problem and they're here to redeem themselves.
But in her way, it's like she kind of made herself basically sound like, like I'm Miss Perfect and you can be the same way. You can be like me too. And here's how.
That was it, because you see, this is the reason why I'm also really hesitating on this because given the rest of her talk, given the preponderance of her self-aggrandizement, the whole, they called me the Barracuda. I'm ashamed of that. That sounded to me more like a humble brag. That sounded more like a humble brag, not a confession of wrongdoing.
Yeah.
That is the line that I'm sitting on right now, because none of that, I don't think anyone could come away from that talk thinking that that lady thinks that she is a flawed individual.
Yeah.
Or
that lady basically thought she was all that and then some.
Yeah. There was nothing about that presentation that came off to me by the end as I am part of the problem and I need to work for the solution. She is the solution as far as that. So that's where I'm at, guys. Now, if you disagree, I understand. Okay. But I'm looking at, given that there's two bingos at stake here, it really has to be something on the nail. And I don't think she did it. That was not her intent. Her intent was not to confess wrongdoing. Her intent was to confess revelation, and which is all about her knowing the right answer against everybody else who's obviously wrong. So, that being said, I think we're done. Again, I know this is controversial. I can understand where you're coming from. I really can, but just didn't quite cross the threshold for me. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Pat, where can people find you next?
They can find me coming up this Saturday on my Yo Boy Live channel. I'm gonna be doing my annual Sexy Saturday, where hopefully with some guests we're gonna be the topic is gonna be like dating an ex's friend or family. You know, the pros and cons of that right there. You know,
you're gonna be talking about the battle of the genders.
Well, kind of so. You know, like when you break up with your ex, but like you know, you find one of the friends or the family members, you know, like attractive and things like that. And, you know, something might happen right there. Like, what's the good and the bad of the whole entire thing right there?
Now, Pat, when you have this discussion with your guests, will you be approaching it from a feminine perspective or a masculine perspective?
Yeah, from my perspective, I hope it's masculine.
Oh. All right. Well, yeah, so if you guys want to hear that, go check out Your Boy Live. The link is in the description. Be sure to subscribe to that and hit the bell and follow Pat on Twitter so you make sure you catch everything that he's up to as time goes on. Let's see. For myself, if you'd like to hear more from me or Satsu 2 Cents or the Ranting Monkey, you can find all three of us tonight on Lords of the Night on Satsu 2 Cents' channel at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, where we'll talk about the news of the day, news stories you submit, what we've been up to on the internet, and then your questions and comments. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your participation and your argumentation. Thank you so much for that as well. Even if we don't always agree, I always appreciate it. Everyone who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. It'll all go towards horrible things I put in my body, like goldfish crackers and Jack Daniels, to try to insulate my brain from the next TEDXcellence. Pat, again, thank you so much for joining me on this one. Oh, did I lose Pat?
No, I'm right here. Bye, y'all.
Okay. Oh,
yeah,
sorry. I said thank you for joining me. Everyone, hope you all are safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.